Last one from me, Emma. I want to get some of your wide thoughts on independent media. Obviously, you've spent your entire career, as far as I know, working in independent media. You got your start over at the Young Turks, unless there was somewhere that you worked before them, and now you've worked
No,
over
I mean,
at.
I did like Democratic Party internships and things like that.
Ooh, fancy stuff. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get your perspective at a bird's eye level. Could you talk a little bit about your entry level experiences over at the Young Turks and now
Sure.
at the Majority Report? Could you compare and contrast a little bit, and just kind of talk about what drew you to this independent business model? Obviously, you could have been gunning for a role at CNN. Obviously, you could have been after a job on panel job on MSNBC. You decided to go Young Turks, then Majority Report FM. Just curious about how that all went down.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
stop, bruh. Mike has bad knees. Like, I hate to break it to you, my dude. He's like, 9? That's kind of high. He's like, 9? That's kind of high. And then he says she's more of a 6.5. That's what most everybody say. I'm shocked. I didn't even think it was controversial at first. I've had this take for a while because it's actually been probably when she was on Tim Pool is when I first noticed, like, oh, she's actually kind of attractive. But here's the more important part. And I'm going to say this part for the algorithm, all that. Emma Vigeland on with the Vanguard. I've done a couple of reactions to the Vanguard. Much respect to their work, man. I've watched them for some years now on that left side. They are, they take pride in their craft. I don't know their names. I don't watch them that much to know their names and stuff. I just see the clips and watch some of their, I subscribe to them. The guy in the green was, when you interview, he was intense there, but not over top. He was in the moment. And that's why this setup, don't go anywhere with Emma. This isn't even about beef stuff. We already talked about this. This is Emma Vigeland in a really heartfelt, my heart goes out to you, and seriously, heartfelt telling of the story. I'll see you guys after it's done because it's so good. I don't want to interrupt it, but the Vanguard setup a atmosphere where Emma Vig trusts them. It's a trust thing that creates these type of moments. Just interview magic right here.
yeah. I was I my background is my parents are lawyers, right? I grew up outside of New York City and New Jersey, and I had always thought that like my future was to be a lawyer, like my parents, and I was gonna go to law school, and I had a
Wow.
professor. Yeah, didn't happen. My sister did though, so my parents did like get their dream fulfilled in that way. But I've always been, I don't know, like somebody that I never connected to like a kind of capitalist culture or wanting to make like a ton of money. It just I perhaps it's the luxury of like having comfort or whatever, but it just there was something about that environment that was very stifling to me and not I always felt socially and sometimes physically uncomfortable in those settings. And
Same.
I had there you go. I had a professor, this woman, Professor Suhei, I'll just say her name. She ended up leaving for another university, but she kind of took a special interest in me when she was like, "You should not go to law
And where'd you
school."
go to school, Emma?
Lafayette College.
Oh, okay.
And, like, she was like, "Your interest isn't," because I would, "You should be in media," basically. She was saying that I was a good communicator and that I was passionate about politics. And so I was a huge fan of Jenks and TYTs. Like, I was the head of Young Democrats in high school. And I remember playing some of his videos railing against the Republicans. And my advisor had to have a talk with me after because she was like, "That's too angry and divisive." But like I was a huge fan of, I would say, Cenk in particular. I really, really looked up to him. And so on a whim, I was like, I don't know if I really want to go to law school. I'm going to take a year off after school and just like work somewhere and see if it's really what I want to do as I study for the LSAT. I got an internship with TYT, and I just basically like my friends and my mom and like my parents. My mom was supportive, and she was just like, you got to go for it. And I did, and I was able to live at home for basically a year because I was not paid well. But I was on the road for quite a while with Jordan Sheridan, and that was really incredible experience in many ways. Like there were issues there. Obviously, it came out, and that's why he was no longer not related to me, but similar. Why he was no longer with that network, but he still did teach me a lot, and like going to Standing Rock and doing the tour of the Rust Belt, that was part of why I thought that Hillary had a good chance to lose. And then eventually TYT did their fundraising drive for journalists in the wake of Trump's victory. So I got hired off of that. And it was really like from there on out, I was a full employee of TYT. I was able to get an apartment, and I just was on the road for them a lot, going to, cover Trump rallies and going to different campaign events. And it just became clear at a certain point that like I wasn't gonna get much more money there. And
Yeah,
they
what was
wanted
your experience like as an employee? How does Cenk treat his employees? Give us the tea. This is the Vanguard.
Well, look, I'm a host, so I think and producers I think have probably a different experience than the staff that try to unionize, right? And I know you've covered this for sure. Like,
Oh yeah, like flies on shit.
I don't doubt it, but I was treated okay. You know, I had I had the luxury of like being able to save up and live at home, right? And that was what got me by. But it still was not a lot of pay, and a lot of, I don't know. I don't know how much you guys want to get into it or whatever, but I
Oh,
think
we'll
that
get into it.
the hosts are treated well. I do think that like there was a lot of suppression of I don't think I know there was a lot of suppression of that unionization effort, and so even though I wasn't paid that well, I always felt like appreciated. But I was trying really hard to build up a New York operation in New York City, which like they weren't really that interested in, and I wanted to do a show remotely from New York, which they weren't that interested in. They wanted me to move out to LA. My now fiance, we were just boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, had just lived in LA, and he didn't want to move back there. And so like
Pretty
it was
sweet.
like, I'm making 5 figures. Should I leave this relationship that I'm really excited about to go move out there, but still do the same thing? And like, I asked Cenk that, and he was kind of like, "Yeah, you should." I'm like, "Why? No, like you guys want me to do the same thing and be on the road all the time. I'm going to do that from New York. I'm not going to move out there, and you're not really offering me any more pay. And it's a little presumptuous for you to tell me that I shouldn't be in this relationship anymore to go and work out there where like I'm not going to be the main host. I would only at most be a supplemental host." So it just became clear to me that I had to leave. And it wasn't, honestly, it was less the treatment, because I did have, and I was really close friends with Anna at this point, or I thought, and other people there like John and some of the and folks behind the scenes, like great people behind the scenes. They're like Cassie and Mary, and I mean JR and all these folks I really like there. But it was more just
So that's the taste of it there. Emma Vigeland. And a heartfelt moment there, just breaking it down. And I like that because it was authentic. It was authentic. And she told the story. She didn't diss Cenk. She could have if she wanted to. And she talked about the pay when she was at Young Turks, but she felt appreciated while she was there. And you can tell it was just an easy flowing conversation. The Vanguard interviewing did a great job getting out of the way. So that's a good story, and I want to hear more from that. If Emma, because her political takes don't come across like that to me. You remember that moment on Tim Pool where Tim asked? I mean, it's corny talking about the trans stuff, and even the books in school is corny to me now. But not that I still agree they shouldn't be in the schools, but just tired of the topic. But talking about the inappropriate rainbow-colored books in schools, and you could see in her face she defended it and she didn't want to.
You're the one arguing for.
You're the one arguing for censorship.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really mind that stuff. I mean, are you in favor of children seeing violence on television?
No.
That scares me a little bit more.
It depends. It's not so simple to say violence, right? But yes, censorship is a good thing, but when done bad is a bad thing.
Yeah.
For instance, Ian Crossland, who is a co-host on Timcast IRL, used to be a moderator for Minds.com, and he had to filter out graphic depictions of murder and rape and child abuse. Censorship is absolutely vital in that regard. So if we're talking about a book like, in particular, there was one called, there was a teacher who provided a book to her middle schoolers called This Book is Gay. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard. That's actually a very good book.
And it provides instruction on she provided instruction to children on how to use adult gay anonymous sex apps. Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate. Now, look, by all means, you can be in favor of them.
Maybe she had a child. Maybe she had a child in her classroom
who wanted to go on Grindr and have sex with adults. Is that your argument?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that. First of all, I don't know. Again, this is
why would a 10-year-old need Grindr?
This is the thing that you do, though, Tim.
Oh, that
You're
I do.
picking specific examples that
you
are
asked
inflammatory.
You asked me for one.
Okay, then go ahead. I
did. We have the book.
Yeah, I'm.
I said don't show children blowjobs.
Look,
you said you appreciate it.
I'm not in favor of censorship.
And that was the complete opposite from what you see there. And it just feels like she's trapped in a cage there with she can't, because if she didn't defend those books on with Tim Pool, she would be basically treated like Anna or Jimmy Dore or one of the others. So that was a great moment there for Emma Vigeland and the Vanguard.
The next clip is ready below. Welcome to After Show Carnage.